Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join me for our last dearly departed review before Christmas. We are looking at round 14, which hasn't exactly finished. It's 4 p.m. on Monday. There's still a couple of games to go, but none of them, the games tonight on Monday night, involve the dearly departed. They may indeed see a little bit of movement in the table, but we'll try and factor that in. I need to get ahead and get this recorded, and we can talk about our 5 dearly departed teams. Who are they? If you have never watched, then you will not know. They are the teams that I covered in the Championship in the past 2 years that managed to get up into the Premier League and in 2 of their cases stay there. We're talking Sheffield United and Aston Villa from 18-19. We are talking Leeds, West Brom and Fulham from 19-20. We're going to have a look at the 4 games that involved them because we did get a dearly departed derby this weekend. All got a bit on top of me this weekend. So much to do. I ended up going out to Stoke and Blackburn, which then brings a load of extra work and a load of extra travel. So I would have liked to have watched along that one, but didn't quite get round to doing so. I apologise if you were expecting that from me. Getting a little bit tired as we get towards Christmas, but keeping up with all the action. Before we get into any of the analysis, let's just say thank you to Jay Coyle, who is our fan sponsor for these dearly departed shows. Dearly departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose us, says Jay. And we thank him very kindly for his sponsorship of this series of shows this season. If you want to get involved in something similar, head over to patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom or give me an email at the end of the show. Email address will come up. There we go. There's our round 14 games. Looking at the ones with the bells highlighted in blue after them. If you're listening on podcast, you won't see that, but there you go. Crystal Palace 0, Liverpool 7. Southampton 0, Manchester City 1. Everton 2, Arsenal 1 were the first 3 games this weekend. None of them affected our dearly departed. But then Newcastle 1, Fulham 1, a draw for Fulham. Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1, a point for the Blades. Spurs 0, Leicester 2. And then 2 more yesterday. Manchester United 6, Leeds United 2, West Brom 0 on Big Sam's debut, Aston Villa 3. Tonight, I will read them. Burnley versus Wolves. That will affect the dearly departed if a Burnley positive result does happen. Tight down there in the bottom 5 as it stands. I'm sure it will remain so. Chelsea versus West Ham is at 8 p.m. Let's get into this then. First up, and I already mentioned it, Big Sam's first game at West Brom, and it was West Brom 0, Aston Villa 3. Bad start for Big Sam. So the context being Bilic out on Wednesday, I think, after the Manchester City game, which I think was on Tuesday, which they did indeed draw, but it looks as though, and rightly so really, shouldn't make a decision based on one result. That shouldn't sway you either way, really. And decision made. Big Sam, presumably, allegedly, possibly, maybe they'd been in touch with him ahead of this because Bilic goes out, Allardyce comes in. And with that, we expect maybe a slight simplification of what the West Brom players are asked to do. But we possibly also expect their chances of survival to increase with Big Sam at the helm. That has been the case for much of his career. Will it be so this season? It didn't start very well, but hey, he's only had a couple of days thus far. So there are your teams, and Allardyce's first West Brom team looks a little something like that. Johnston in goal, Furlong, Ajayi, O'Shea and Gibbs. Sawyers sat in front with Gallagher and Livermore. Phillips right, Diangana left, Grant up top. for Aston Villa, who we haven't really mentioned. Less of a story. They're another one of our dearly departed teams. Martinez in goal. Target Mings. Still no Konza. Cash comes in. He'd missed the previous game at right back. Douglas Luiz returns as well from suspension alongside John McGinn. So big help there. Watkins up top again. Grealish still in the central position, the number 10 position in the absence of Barkley. El Ghazi has the shirt, and he's going to be keeping it a little while longer with 2 goals in this one. Traore also scoring. So we'd had some sense with Villa that Grealish was doing great on the left. Barkley was doing great on the central position, with the right-hand side position up for grabs. Well, now it looks like both Traore and El Ghazi are laying a claim to that shirt as and when Barkley comes back. Good news for Dean Smith, that from a Villa point of view. Watkins obviously up top. There is the opening goal. You can't see him in the picture, but Bertrand Traore down the right-hand side cuts in, curls that one in. We saw a similar goal that Chilwell scored for Chelsea against Sheffield United on one of our dearly departed shows. El Ghazi right on the back post. Innovative finish, almost karate kicks it in. But you do have to ask the question, that ball is being curled in from the right-hand side, and the attacking player is able to finish from pretty much 1 yard out. Is that the goalkeeper's domain? Is it a really good cross that curves in and just too far out for him to come? Johnston's been excellent this season, but could he be coming and getting that, I wonder? Villa will not care. 1-0. El Ghazi, and he scored the penalty, hadn't he, in the game at Wolves. So good stuff. Here's a red card. We seem to have one every game now, don't we? It went to VAR. It's Jake Livermore on Jack Grealish. Let's just put this to bed. It doesn't matter that it was on Jack Grealish before people comment on that. What does matter, and what was looked at on the VAR, is the challenge from Jake Livermore, who, well, what's the wording? Lunge, excessive force, endangering opponent. He lunges, maybe not with excessive force, but he really goes quite high, and I would suggest he does endanger the opponent, whether you like it or not. That is the current wording, and Mr. Livermore is sent off. You would think there must be instructions go in on these teams to say, when you're dealing with Grealish, stay on your feet. Just stay on your feet, for goodness sake. Don't dive in. Maybe that needs to be the case, whoever you are playing against. But Grealish draws so many fouls, doesn't he? You would think that would infuriate Allardyce, that an experienced player like Livermore has dived in like that on a player so good at manipulating the ball away from opponents. I must say now, before any West Brom fans contact me, I did this on the basis of the Sky YouTube highlights. I know there was a tackle by Courtney Hauser that West Brom fans weren't happy with. That wasn't included in the highlights, so I have not spoken about that, and it will not appear in my review. You can comment on that below if you feel the need. Here's a disallowed goal. We're in armpit, shoulder territory again. Didn't Watkins get one of these? Was it the end of the West Ham game where he was very, 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 very marginally offside? Well, here he is again, and it's disallowed again. However, there are 2 more goals for Villa as West Brom sort of sit in, and Villa pick them off. There is Bertrand Traore. I really like this goal, actually, because he hits it very gently, but he just shifts it inside. Is that O'Shea there? And hits it so early that Johnston's just completely caught cold by it in the goal, and it goes right into the corner. Real good example of if you shift the ball and hit it early, often you don't need power, you just need that element of surprise and the accuracy. So Traore stepping up now and laying claim to that front right shirt that he, Trezeguet and El Ghazi are battling for. Again, it's Grealish again, and there's not really much complaint. I like Semi Ajayi very much, but why your arm has to come out now in VAR land in the Premier League and be coming across a player, especially like Grealish, who's so good at dribbling. You know they're going to check it on VAR, and you know it's not going to look good for Ajayi. You can see Grealish has probably put the brakes on there, and possibly Ajayi's long right leg is making contact with Grealish's muscular right calf. But don't put your arms out like that. I know it infuriates fans when players go down, but the times are changing and the dynamic and the paradigm is shifting now. And it just appears in this VAR world, you can't put your hands out like that in the box when you're running with someone. You've got to let your feet do the work. And even that being said, if you let your feet do the work and you time that wrong as well, everything is a penalty at the moment. So I don't know. Either the rules need an adjustment, the laws, or defenders need to adjust. And we'll see what the powers that be decide in regards to that. Are we getting too many penalties? Are we getting too many goals? Can you have that? I don't know. Are we getting too many VAR reviews? You let me know what you think in the comments. But you know that that's going to be given as a penalty, don't you? There we go. El Ghazi down the middle. Another one for him and another one for Villa. And it is 3-0. And I saw these numbers tweeted out quite a lot, particularly with reference to the Leeds game where Leeds went for it and conceded 6. The compare and contrast with Allardyce. Look, he's only been there a few days and they played against 10 men for a long while. So whether we can attribute these numbers to Big Sam or not, I don't know. You don't know. Maybe the players know, but we're in crystal ball zone as well. But doesn't make good reading. 19 shots to 1. 10 shots on target to 1. 3 big chances to 0. And just masses of possession. So, I mean, it might turn out to be the case that this is what Big Sam wants and he wants them to sit in. And I watched his maiden interview for West Brom and he wants them to keep clean sheets and defend better and improve that goal scoring ratio and clean sheet ratio. But, hey, the numbers say this was a highly sustainable victory for Aston Villa, one of our dearly departed, against West Brom. One of the other. Do let me know what you think in the comments now. Is Big Sam going to start to get some wins? Because that's what it takes. Forget clean sheets. Forget 0-0 draws. It's going to take wins to keep them up. They need to get goals as well as the clean sheets. And they need to get wins. So let me know from a West Brom perspective. From a Villa perspective, trucking on absolutely nicely. And they're getting a fair few clean sheets and victories as well. We'll look at the table at the end, but bodes well for Villa. Nicely sustainable win and helped by the 10 against 11 for, well, all of the second half and a lot of the game. Get your comments in if you support either side or wish to comment on this game. It was West Brom 0, Aston Villa 3. On we go, and up there is the thumbnail from the video I have already recorded. So I've already done a review of Manchester United 6, Leeds United 2. And there it says, Leeds 8-goal insanity. Now, I know we have a lot of Leeds fans watch the channel. So if you want to get my long extended take on this game, please pause now and go ahead and have a look at that other video. I know Leeds fans maybe weren't in the mood to watch 20 minutes of analysis on Sunday night yesterday. So I'll just go through quickly. We won't go through goal by goal, but we will just say that Scott McTominay started the game like an absolute machine. Scored 2 in the first 3 minutes. Then, if I can remember the goals in the right order, Fernandes scored and then Lindelof scored and then Cooper scored. Both of those last 2 goals were pretty much direct from corners or give or take a flick on for the Manchester United goal. Then Bielsa did indeed take out Calvin Phillips and Matt Click and put in Shackleton and Struijk, wasn't it? So completely dismembering his central midfield at half-time, given how open Leeds were, particularly on the counter-attack in reference to Bruno Fernandes playing in that number 10 position. Second half, Dan James gets a goal, and then there's a penalty that Fernandes himself scores. Stuart Dallas curls one in the top corner, but it's 6-2, and it's no exaggeration to say that in one 5 or 6 minute period, Meslier saves probably another 4 reasonable chances in pretty quick succession. Crazy, crazy stuff. I should also mention Liam Cooper goes off injured. Now, I had a big prattle on about philosophy, and this was straight after the game. There were a few calmer takes than mine. I was bringing up the big question of risk and reward, which a lot of people have been discussing. Having seen Bielsa's interview now, are you going to change your approach? No, an outright no. And I listened to the Square Ball podcast as well, and they correctly pointed out something which I didn't, that the 2 goals in the first 3 minutes do heavily influence the pattern of the rest of this game in terms of stretching it and the chaotic nature. So maybe I'll row in a little bit on some of what I said, but I'm pretty happy with my analysis of it. But maybe 24 hours, I could have been a bit more measured having heard what I have since. All of that said, everyone's piling on saying, oh, no, Leeds are great. We love it. They're really open and it's great. But that's all okay from a neutral's point of view. I am a neutral, but a lot of you guys that watch this aren't. You're Leeds fans. And you watch a Dearly Departed show here on my channel. And you don't want to become everyone's favourite toy if it's that they enjoy watching you ship a load of goals. It has to be, you know, a move up the table. I think 14th at the moment. Look at the table at the end of the show. But yeah, a lot of chitter chatter about philosophies and risk and reward. And I think we move on from that. But what we will say is Phillips and Click out at half time. Centre halves as well. Maybe Koch, Llorente and Cooper all out. Ayling's been deputising. Struick, who came on? Leif Davis as well. So possibly slightly worrying going forward. But one thing I do agree with what I heard on the Square Ball podcast is that won't happen every week. McTominay won't start like that every week, and the game won't stretch in that manner every week. But I did go big on this in the other video, so do go ahead and check that one out. But it was a big defeat. Manchester United 6, Leeds United 2. Get your thoughts in the comments. Up in the northeast, it was Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. The sort of ever-improving Fulham get a draw. But I have spoken about this a lot, particularly as it pertains to Fulham, West Brom and Sheffield United, who have spent lots of time in the bottom 3. They need to win some of these vital sort of bottom 5, 6, 7. You know, how low Newcastle are going to finish. Need to win some of these games. Yes, we'll talk about a big mitigating factor in them not winning this game. But you're going to start to be looking by and looking at these draws. I don't know, West Brom at Brighton, and well, we're going to talk about Sheffield United against Brighton in a minute, and West Brom at home to Burnley, and Fulham and Sheffield United drew, didn't they? And now this one, a lot of draws, and I don't want to be sat here at the end of the season with possibly 2 or 3 of our dearly departed relegated saying, if only they'd have just not drawn in the bottom 6, 7, 8 clashes, because it seems to now be a recurring pattern. A recurring pattern is pretty good to describe Scott Parker's team selection. Mitrovic does come in now and get the start there over Cavaliero, who had played a number of games. Tom Kearney comes back in as well. I'd said my surprise that Parker's solution had been without them. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I didn't expect that at the start of the season. Areola in goal, Aina, Anderson, Adrabio, Robinson left, Reed right, Anguissa, Lamina, and then Kearney and Lookman off Mitrovic. So Loftus-Cheek sort of drops out, and Cavaliero as well. For Newcastle, 4-4-2, Steve Bruce, Carl Darlow in goal, Yedlin and Dummett fullbacks, Clark and Fernandez centre-backs, Almiron and Ritchie wide, Longstaff and Shelvey central, with Joe Linton and Callum Wilson up the top. And Fulham take the lead in this one, a bit fortuitous. Matt Ritchie look away now. Adrabio, number 16 there, you can see on the corner of the 6-yard box. Heads that, it's going wide, it bounces up, hits Matt Ritchie in the face. He recoils as if it hurt, and then it flies past John Joe Shelvey into the back of the net. So Fulham get the lead from a set play. You'll take it though, won't you? However, here's another refereeing law book issue that we kind of talk about. So that is Joachim Andersen with Callum Wilson running in behind. The first thing we can agree on is that if Wilson receives the ball in the correct position there, this is an obvious goal scoring opportunity. We're fine with that. However, the pull there by Andersen's left arm on the bottom of Wilson's shirt is occurring in the first instance outside the box. And I think the VAR review is pretty clear that he pulls at first outside the box and he's let him go by the time he's inside the box. So, if that's the case, I think all people with an understanding of the laws know that with the double jeopardy rule, you could get away with that. Well, no, you couldn't actually because there's a pull. So it's a red card, whatever, essentially, even in the box, because you have to prove that you've made a deliberate attempt to play the ball, and obviously a shirt pull is nothing to do with the ball, is it? So, look, if that's the decision, it's a red card and a free kick, okay, outside the box. We go on a couple of feet further, and Wilson does what a lot of footballers do now. They put the brakes on and slow down in front of the guy marking them. There may or may not be contact with, I don't know, what is it? Let me look again. With Andersen's left arm into the back of Wilson. That may or may not be happening before, during, or after Wilson falls. I think Wilson's decided he's going down now. And again, and whether this matters or not, I always say it, does it impede him? Because I think this is where the laws need to be looked at, where we're seeing contact, we're seeing challenges, but a lot of them, we're getting fouls and penalties and red cards. And I'm sitting here saying, he hasn't impeded the guy. And believe me, impeding is not to do with contact. You can impede someone by throwing yourself into a tackle and they jump over and there's no contact, but it's a foul and you've impeded them. So I'm not talking about contact even. I'm talking about, have you impeded the progress of the attacking player? I don't know. So they go and check on VAR, and Scott Parker, understandably not too happy about this, because I kind of agree with him that there is a pull outside, so fine, which would be foul, red card, deny an obvious goal scoring opportunity, free kick. But then they go and check it back on the VAR, so they're obviously talking about this because they've given a penalty. And I'm sorry, I just don't see that this arm or whatever that hits Wilson's back is impeding him, and it's a penalty. So I'm lost on a lot of this stuff. I think if you're checking VAR, that Andersen gets a red card and it's a free kick, not a penalty. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Here we go again. Wilson himself steps up, sends Areola the wrong way, and, well, he sticks it down the middle. So 1-1, and very infuriating for Scott Parker and Fulham, who are trending upwards. However, they don't get the win in this one. Look, 2 big chances to 1, and the one big chance for Newcastle is clearly the penalty. And obviously, what time was that? 64 minutes. They have to then play the final 25 with only 10 players. So look, big picture, if you're Fulham, very infuriating. However, you've got the draw with 10 men for the last 25 minutes, and you've still got a home game to play against Newcastle. However, they all seem to be ending in draws, don't they? And if you're Fulham going into the second half of the season, maybe on the best trend of any of those bottom 3 teams, apart from maybe Burnley, I would suggest, then you think you've got a chance to go ahead and win the return game, all being well. The numbers, well, they stack up quite nicely if you are a Fulham fan, don't they? 12 shots to 11 in Newcastle's favour, but factor in the red card on that. And the big chances look good, don't they, considering that both were indeed missed. I think one a header for Lookman that you really wanted to have fallen to Mitrovic rather than Lookman, who's a much better header of the ball there. So, good news, I think, long-term for Fulham. And it's been good for 4 or 5, 6 games now. The line is definitely going this way. However, they do need to start winning in these. You can sacrifice I said this before, you can sacrifice a draw against Liverpool for a win over Brighton or Newcastle, and they've drawn all of the games. Wins, please, with my dearly departed hat on, Scott Parker and Fulham. But I doff my cap for the improvement that's been made. Will it be enough? Let me know what you think in the comments. Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. Which brings us to Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1, and a similar sort of outlook in terms of an away draw for the dearly departed, a 1-1, but a different way it was reached because the red card happens at 0-0 in this game, which changes the context just ever so slightly, doesn't it? So again, we're talking about an away draw 1-1 with a red card to the dearly departed against a rival Brighton, who just keep getting away without getting defeated in these games. And good luck to them. That's your job when you're outside of the bottom three, but when you're in it, you need to get some victories. There is your Sheffield United team. Ramsdale in goal, Basham, Egan, Robinson filling O'Connell's boots, or trying to. Stevens, Baldock, wing-backs. Lundstrom, Ampadu, Fleck in the centre of midfield, with Brewster starting up front with Dave McGoldrick. Brighton also 3, Sanchez in goal, White, Dunk, Webster, March and Veltman wide, Lallana, Bissouma central, Mopai, Trossard, Connolly is your front 3, although I suspect it would be more like Mopai as the number 9 there rather than Connolly, as it seems to intimate. And here we go again. Another red card, and I dare say this one's a bit more clear-cut, and I have less of an issue with this law than I do the sort of Callum Wilson one we were just talking about on the show. The laws say reckless, excessive force endangering an opponent, and that's this one. All in from Lundstrom. Yes, we can go back to the days where this wasn't even a foul, let alone a yellow card, because he does get the ball first. But after that, he slams through, doesn't he? And straight leg right through. Who's the player he's fouled? I can't see actually. Is it Trossard? I can't tell you. It's too blurry there. Someone will tell me in the comments. But by the laws, that's a red card, and I don't have too much issue with that because we don't want to see. I know Chris Wilder spoke against it in the interview afterwards. We don't want to see someone get badly hurt by this type of thing. And yeah, he got up and out of the way, but we do know if your foot is planted to the ground in that instance that your ankle's getting broken. So yes, I know it was lovely back in the day when we could do this, but remember back in the day we couldn't wear seat belts, and we took our pictures on cameras and got them printed at bonus print, and things change, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. A couple of glowing false equivalences from me, but I'm just thinking of things that have changed in the past. Sheffield United take the lead though, and there's Jayden Bogle, a right wing back there on the left corner of the sort of 6-yard box, receiving a pullback there from Dave McGoldrick. God, it's next Ipswich love in here, because not only does David McGoldrick pull it back, but Adam Webster, who's sticking out the right foot there, deflects it past the keeper, Sanchez. Bit of a lucky finish, but with 10 men, you have to applaud having a fullback in the box, don't you? And that's some old school Chris Wilder, Sheffield United, rather than the horrible losing that's been going on this season. Are they going to hold out? No, they are not. That's the equaliser, but I thought, oh, I don't have it, sorry. I thought I had a picture of Ollie Burke, who at 1-0 misses a glorious chance to make it 2-0, give him the first win. Sadly, I don't have it. There is Danny Welbeck's equaliser. You can see just piling on at the end, defending deeply, loads of players back, but it just breaks for Welbeck. Chest down, puts it past Ramsdale. 1-1 for the Blades. And look, in a season where you've won some games and you're halfway up the table, good result this, isn't it? And it is a good result. But when you lose, it's, you know, it's 1 point instead of 3 when you desperately need 3. And despite the red card, when you actually analyse the game state with however many minutes to go as it was when Ollie Burke missed his chance, could have won it. They really could have won it. You miss a chance to go 2-0 and the goal you concede is late. I know the pressure piles on, but, you know, if you take it in absolute isolation, which is not the best way to analyse things, I know, but it's 3 or 4 minutes. Can you just get through? I know that doesn't take into account the previous hour and a half that these guys have played, but they'll be disappointed for those reasons. Could have been even worse. Look, Brighton just going to hit the crossbar right at the death there. Point blank header by the Brighton number 16, whose name I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. There are the numbers. Look, obviously massively skewed against Sheffield United, given you're playing with 10 men for, 50 plus minutes if you include the stoppage time of this one. 21 shots to 5. 5 on target to 3, though. 4 big chances and 3 of them missed by Brighton. 1 for the Blades, which is probably that Ollie Burke one. So the numbers stack against them, but the narrative is actually quite positive. Playing with the 10 men, could have won it. Really could have won it with the Burke goal and, you know, the equaliser coming so late. However, that does not factor in the missed chances that Brighton did have. I suppose if you're a Brighton fan, you'd argue that back the other way. But it's a point. It's a battling game that they didn't lose. And I suppose it's a start, isn't it? And look, if they now go and lose the next 4 on the trot, it's irrelevant. But if it brings something in terms of the confidence and a upward trend, then it's good news. It could have been worse, couldn't it? Put it that way. So you get your comments in. It was Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1. And there is our league table. And you can see we have Aston Villa now up in 9th with 7 points in the last 3 games. They've got 2 games in hand on a few of the top teams. So let's just add 6 points on. The best case scenario, they'd be 3rd in the division. Obviously, that's not factoring in the games in hand for Chelsea, Manchester City and Manchester United. And the fact that Manchester City's game in hand is, of course, against Aston Villa. But big picture for the Villa, really good. Excellent stuff. And they are easily, this week, our flag bearers and our only winners. Again, for Leeds, yes, risk and reward, philosophy chat, bish bash bosh. But the truth is that they're fine. They're 14th. They've got 17 points. And they are a level above these teams that are scrapping. And we've heard a load of Leeds fans, kind of rightly so, saying, look, you know, we got battered. We got hammered 6 by Manchester United. Conceded 4 against Liverpool and against Palace and against Leicester and 3 against Fulham as well. So conceding loads of goals, but scoring loads of goals. And a lot of people saying they'd rather swap their 4-3 wins and 4-3 defeats and 6-2s one way and 5-2s the other way. They wouldn't swap that for sitting back behind the ball and trying to nick enough points to get to 38 or whatever it's going to take this season. So Leeds still there in 14th and a couple of big games. I think, is it Burnley and Brighton? We'll look into it. But a couple of big games coming up for Leeds United. For West Brom, well, I suppose we wipe the slate clean and say Allardyce, 1 game, 1 defeat, but 10 men for a lot of it. And he starts clean in the next game, doesn't he? And has hopefully then had some time to work with the players and get his ideas or his simplification possibly of Bilic's ideas across them. So we'll give him a clean slate and let him go. New manager, it's the least he deserves, especially after his long career, Big Sam. Sheffield United, as I say, yes, some improvement, but still, look, 2 points from 14. They're miles off, aren't they? They just need to get a win from somewhere. And that's our show. Thank you again for Jay, who is our sponsor. Dearly departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us. I will very quickly see this video over on Patreon. So I'll do a little 4 or 5 minute version that if you're a Patreon, you can go through quickly and check. I find it quite good actually, because I do the whole video and then I'm really able to crystallize my bullet points, having thought it all out in the long video. The long video will obviously always be free on YouTube, but if you want to support me and my work in these testing times financially, then Patreon is the way to do it. And you do get those benefits of that Patreon exclusive bonus content. With that being said, though, this will always be free here on YouTube, so please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, etc., etc., which I'm going to say in the advert in just a second. So I will leave that with you. Next Dearly Departed stuff will be ahead of Boxing Day, which I might do a poll when you'd like to see that released, whether you'd like to see that go out, say, on Christmas Day or actually on Boxing Day. We will figure that out. I must make a note to do that because I will forget. Because I'm like that and there's a lot going on. But with all of that being said, it's a lovely thank you for this first set of Dearly Departed videos. I've really, really enjoyed doing it. And we've reached Christmas, so I wish you a happy Christmas if I don't see you before then. And it's an over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/BenjaminBloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.